tell us who you are and when you were born and where at.
I was born in Meadville, and I was raised at Townville at our homestead farm, Higby Hill Road, and I graduated from Townville, and I met Nancy in high school, and we've been together ever since.
Yeah. Your full name and when you were born.
Okay.
And where you're from.
I was born in Meadville too. My name's Nancy Wade Higby, and I was born in 1938. And we moved out here in 1968 permanently, but we've been here with business since 1954 with my parents.
Okay. Nancy, tell us about your mom and dad.
My mom and dad came here in 1954. My dad worked for the railroad, and he was in a terrible accident. And the man that was with him was deceased. And my dad was in the hospital for about a year.
Wow.
And he got a settlement, so he came to Canadohta Lake and invested. So that's how we happened to be here. I was 15.
Wow. So what was the properties that he had purchased?
Well, the first purchase was this building, which was 1 story, and was a store. And Elmcrest, which is the first cottage that way, and the 2 little ones that are new buildings now, but they were sycamore and silver birch at that time. And they, of course, had ice boxes and kerosene heaters. And it was quite interesting.
So, who did you buy the store from?
Well, Mr. Cedic owned it, but Mr. Porter, the developer of these Cold Spring Park and Cold Spring Acres, had built it and had owned it.
Okay. So, how old do you think this place is?
You know, I don't know. There was no. The most interesting thing I think about the whole situation is the bridge. The bridge fascinated me. Harold used to come here for his family reunions, and there was no bridge to this section. So you had to go clear up around to get down to any of the lower part here north. But when we came, there was a wooden bridge, and the mailbox was on the other side of the wooden bridge, and my first chore was to go get the mail or put the mail out every day. And then there was a steel bridge, and now there's a cement bridge. So that showed the progress, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
So.
You've been through quite many bridge changes.
But then my mom really took to running the grocery store. She had a really nice grocery store here, and she did a really good job of it. And but when we purchased the property for my mom and dad, we closed the grocery store.
Yeah. And then you, that was like in,
That was 1954.
Okay.
When we first came.
Okay.
That was our first year.
Okay.
And
And the grocery store was closed in 1970.
74,
And
yeah.
then they bought the Renzo Shady Rest area cottages and added those to the rental business.
Yeah.
In
Mom and Dad.
1970 or before that?
60.
No, in the 60s.
Okay.
Because Mom and Dad got their real estate license because Mr. Porter, that lived in the big house where our son Mike lives now,
Yeah.
he was a real estate broker, and he was developing, he already had this section developed, and he was developing the acres. There's all different numbers as
Cold
they
Spring
went down,
Acres.
Cold Spring Acres. But there was all
Down toward the
different
North
acres
Inlet area.
on down.
Okay.
And he was a real estate agent, so my mom, broker, so my mom and dad got their real estate licenses so they could sell the lots, which they did. And also, then they could rent other people's property, because you can't rent other people's property without a real estate license. So, they had a rental business, which I do have a sheet that shows that I can give you.
Okay.
At one time, they had 55 cottages that they rented of their own and other people's.
Okay.
Mostly other people,
Yeah.
you know, with that kind of a figure. And they purchased the beach and the playground a little bit later than their first purchase. And they did let the people they rented their cottages for, they let them be their guests on the beach. And the beach was quite popular for a long time. And we had to discontinue that when they got so stiff with the rules about beaches on lakes, and we already had one lifeguard by that time at the pool, so we had to decide what we were going to have, so we only have the pool now.
Okay. All right. And then so you had rented all the cottages for a long time.
Yes.
You had the store, and then Harold, what year did you start making the campground? And tell us a little bit about that. Can you tell us about that, Harold?
I bought the land in 1970, in the spring of 1970, and we opened up, I think it was 15 campsites that spring, and built a shower house. And then we incorporated that in with the cottage rental, and we started renting permanent sites along with that, and that just bloomed our income along with the cottages. And so we eventually wound up with 300 and some campsites, and then
there's not
I think
300.
it's 19
Not that many.
130.
130.
Okay.
And I think sometime right in there, I got a kit from some guy in Erie, and I built the swimming pool
Okay.
myself and with the boys.
1974.
I remember that. Yes.
And
We do have pictures of that
Uh-huh.
somewhere.
so that really what promoted the campground.
Yes. Okay. You also had a horse riding stable.
Yes,
Yeah.
we had that during the 70s. And Mike and Mark ran that. When Mark went to college, then we stopped that.
That's how I kept them out of the cars and off the street.
Yeah.
They had no horses.
Yeah. I think everybody was at the down there at the stables though.
Debbie used to come and visit us all the time. At the barn.
Yep, at the barn. It was a good time. Oh my gosh. Okay. What do you remember when you guys were first here in the 50s? What was it like?
Well, right at the corner of the playground area over here was a huge tree, and it had a basketball hoop on it. And all the guys came and played basketball all day, and I was 15, and I thought it was good entertainment.
We said that was the reason we came, was to play basketball, but that wasn't a real. We had a Canadohta Lake Queen we watched.
Oh, did you? Yes.
And so
And Mom and Dad served ice cream in the store, and the store was really busy. And they sold kerosene for all the heaters. Everybody heated with kerosene at that time, and it was a busy place. It was a busy place, and the beach was very popular.
Now, Flip and your mom always lived over there.
They had a little mobile home,
Okay.
and it was on right where the driveway is.
Okay.
And when we come out permanently, they stayed in here.
Okay.
But when we came out permanently, they moved into that little mobile home and let us have the house because we had the kids. So,
Okay. Okay.
when we came out and only worked part-time before we moved out permanently in 1968, we had a pop-up camper we stayed in.
Then I think they moved into where I live now in 1974, didn't they?
They
I should have
They
looked
bought
that up.
that.
I don't know.
They bought that and then remodeled it year round, and
Harold remodeled everything in it.
Oh,
and,
they bought that
because it was just a cottage.
cottage from people from Corey. Fogels were their name.
And they owned a lumber mill. So
And
it's a
the reason they
beautiful
bought
house.
that is because the first summer we stayed here, we had a home in Meadville. And the first summer we stayed here, she didn't want to go home. So we stayed out here, and we, Matt, the youngest one, was
He
just
was
a baby.
4. He was 4.
Yeah. And
they
so
were
she-
4, 10, and 13.
And she put the boys in school. And so we stayed here all winter. And basically there was no inside heat or no inside water.
Nothing here,
And
yeah.
so I did all of that in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
And we bivouacked all winter. And I drove back and forth to work to Meadville because I had a job in Meadville. I worked for the railroad in Meadville.
Oh, wow.
And so I did that for years and years.
6
And
years.
she stayed out here and minded the boys and watched the business in the summertime.
Mm-hmm.
And then
Yeah, when my mom and dad were here, after my dad got well,
Mm-hmm.
he went back to work at the railroad.
Mm-hmm.
But he took a job where he worked all night,
Mm-hmm.
so that he was took what they called the oil run.
Mm-hmm.
So he was here always during the day to support mom, because mom was doing a lot of the work. But he never did get much sleep.
Yeah. What is the cottage on the point over there called?
Lake Comfort.
Point Comfort.
Point-
You mean Mark's
Yeah.
cottage?
Mark's house.
Mark's house.
That
Point
is
Comfort.
truly one of the most beautiful cottages on the
Yeah.
lake. That wormy chestnut
Yeah.
in there is amazing.
Yeah. Well, what
Oh.
he did was the walls were the wormy chestnut,
Mm-hmm.
but Mom wanted a kitchen, of course,
Mhm.
but she liked the wormy chestnut, so he cut that out, put a wall in, and then made all the doors for all the cupboards and everything out of the wormy chestnut, so that it still everything matched when he got done remodeling it.
it had the living room has a cathedral ceiling in it.
Mhm.
And I took it had the planks from the floor to the ceiling, which were like 18 feet long planks, boards. The boards were 12 and 14 inches wide. And so these planks were from the floor all the way to the ceiling. And so I took those all off and insulated all the walls and the ceiling and everything with fiberglass, and then put those boards all back on there. And I really wasn't a carpenter, I was a machinist. And so
Could have
I
fooled
took-
us.
I took all those boards off and didn't crack them or nothing. And Nancy's mother just about shook to pieces every time I took one of those boards off.
Well, then we took the fireplace down,
Yeah, and I took the
every bit of that fireplace down, because it had rusted out.
Yeah,
And we took a picture, Polaroid pictures of that.
yeah.
And we had a little trailer in the room with all the stones in it. And then we put it all back together after you got new heat-a-lighter and everything. Put it all back together, but we were short one stone, and we kept saying, where is that? Well, it was holding the tongue up in the trailer that we but we got it back up.
He numbered all the stones and then put them all back exactly the way it was.
That is an amazing story. I never knew that.
But the Fogels
Wow.
started out with platforms
Mhm.
and tents before they built that.
Mhm.
And then the one beside it
Right.
would belong to Mr. Fogel's sister, the annex, which we do on that one now
Mhm.
too. So,
Mhm.
well, we don't, but
Mhm. Right.
grandchildren do.
Yes.
the Fogels had a hardware store, or a lumber supplies store in Corey.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how they happened to arrive here.
They were really neat people.
Mm-hmm. Now, Debbie has some pictures from the family. Debbie, what's the family?
Trenham and Fondale. Houston?
Houston.
Oh,
Is that
Houston was
Yeah,
the name.
And
Houston.
tell us about that, because Phil Runzo, right?
Yeah.
Phil Runzo and Houston's kind of were in partnership.
Well, they owned the Shady Rest together.
Okay.
But when Mom and Dad came, Mr. Houston wanted out.
Mm-hmm.
And so then Mom and Dad bought his half.
Okay.
And then after, when Runzo wanted out, we bought Runzo's half.
Okay.
So then Mom and Dad had owned half, and we owned half, and then
Mhm.
eventually
Yeah.
we owned it.
Wow. But there are some amazing.
Oh my gosh. Where did these pictures come from?
There's duplicates of each picture.
It's amazing, though, Nancy, that you have watched all this.
Yeah.
We think those cottages were built in when, Debbie? The 30s? We don't know.
I don't know.
We have to research that a little bit. Okay. Huh.
Nancy's dad and some other cottage owners went together and formed the Canadohta Lake Association.
Mm-hmm.
And because every year the ice would freeze over and it would smash the docks out.
Okay.
And so they formed an organization and they got a hold of the Army Corps of Engineers and they came and investigated the lake, and they were the reason that they built the dam
Okay.
so that they could drop the level of the lake down so many feet and free up the docks all the way around the lake.
Okay.
And so that was Nancy's dad and some cottage owners that were right around here.
Mm-hmm.
And we
Tots,
actually
I
have
remember.
pictures of them having a meeting on our beach at the picnic tables.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
excellent.
don't say we do because we don't know where it is.
That's okay.
But we did have it.
We'll get some of those off of Damon and help him make photos.
He has,
Mhm.
I think he has some of them. And, oh my gosh, there's the dollhouse, remember?
Yes. See, I couldn't remember the name of that.
Yeah, that was the dollhouse.
Dollhouse, yeah. Remember Mrs.
Yep.
Lent used to stay there? Oh my gosh. That was crazy.
There's the,
Jeannie
Park.
Caesar used to always come and stay there too.
Mm-hmm.
Years ago.
there's the Shady Rest.
These are good pictures.
They're wonderful.
Mhm.
And I had pictures of the, in 1974, I think it was, when they had the
Hurricane Agnes.
hurricane here.
Yes.
And I can't find those either.
I remember that hurricane. That was crazy. It was Agnes. And it was in June. And the lake, I never saw. We were sitting down at the pier, my brother and I inside. My dad told us we were supposed to do something to the windows. But we were looking out and you could see all these huge water spouts on the lake. And then I've never seen rain like that. And it
Yeah,
flooded
you
everything.
want to look at those, Mark?
Did it messed up like all the dam didn't do good? What else happened? All the yards flooded?
Oh, yeah.
You
The
need
first
to
thing
take
that
care.
happened was that it blew so hard, we were completely dark in the house because the leaves just pasted over the windows. You couldn't see. And of course, we didn't know where Matt was.
Oh,
He
Yeah.
was playing in the playground, and he
Mhm.
went in one of the cottages with
mm-hmm,
one of his friends, and
mm-hmm.
we were looking for Matt.
Huh.
But it shut our electric off for 3 days. We had live bait that we sold at that time. We lost all our bait and everything.
Yeah.
And everybody was running around trying to save everything else in
Right.
their refrigerators and stuff like that.
It put trees down. There was a cottage there, and it put a tree on top of that roof of that cottage, and it put a tree partial on top of that cottage, and it put a tree on top of Nancy's mother and dad's house. Flipped a tree right over on top of it, and then up in the campground, it put 2 or 3 trees down, and it put one tree down, completely tree down, in a campsite where people had pitched a tent,
Ooh.
but they moved out and moved down, went down to the shower house while the storm came, or they'd have been right there under that tree.
Wow. Wow. There was tons of damage. Didn't the main road got shut off because there was too many trees down, and they had to bring big equipment to get those trees out.
Yeah, and that's why the electric was off
Yeah.
for so long. Yeah.
I forgot it was off for that many days,
Yeah,
but it was not
3
good.
days. Yeah. For
I
us,
remember I was
anyway.
at the barn, running the
Yeah.
horse stables, and when we knew it was going to hit, we just turned all the horses loose. And of course, they were starting to get really wild because of all the thunder and lightning and wind, and it was scaring them and scaring us. And so we just turned them all out into the field, shut everything up, and started down for the house. And of course, we didn't drive cars back then. I think I was only like 15 or 16. But I remember coming down over the hill on the path through the field to get down through the campground, and the water was like up to my chest. And I was floating, I was holding the money bag up here in the air, just riding this water down it was like a field that we walked through all the time. And the water was up to here.
Wow.
On us coming down here.
Didn't the bridge get washed out?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had that happen more than once.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah, this spring two of our bridges washed out.
God. So, but you guys, the inlet to Canadohta Lake or the outlet is right. That's what's over there.
Mm-hmm.
What's up? Okay,
There's two inlets.
There are two inlets. Okay,
Yeah.
North Inlet.
One down at the north end and one in our campground.
Right. Okay.
And then
Okay.
there's the outlet down at the dam.
Yeah. Yeah. Huh. I see too that one of the things you guys had real estate licenses in the 70s too.
Mm-hmm.
And you did something really good, Nancy. You were a broker,
Yeah,
appraiser.
I got my broker's license in 1981, and then I got my appraisal license also.
Right.
And I was still appraising last year.
Okay.
And when the kids came along,
Yes.
we both had our real estate licenses, and she had the appraisal license, and her and I had traveled and stayed in hotels and stuff, like for 3 or 4 days or a week at a time, for her to get her credits,
Right.
all the way down to Philadelphia and Pittsburgh. And so when the kids got old enough, all of them, even the grandkids,
Yep.
we had them all get real estate licenses.
And Billy Joe still has hers.
Mm-hmm.
We always worked under Oliver Porter's brokerage for years, and
Yeah.
then when he was retiring, all of a sudden she had to get her broker's license in order for us to stay in business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why they traveled all over to get all of her educational requirements in, so that we could, still.
And then we had Century 21 franchises. We had 3 of those.
Right. Right.
One time we were in Detroit going to school, and they were making a video of us in the classroom, not just us, but a whole classroom of people. And right in the middle of it, they stopped everything and they came and got us because we owned a house on Miller Avenue, and apparently it was on fire. And they came. I don't know what good it did to stop everything, because we couldn't help them. But anyway, that was just something crazy that happened.
Oh my. Okay, tell us about your family. You have 3 wonderful sons.
Yes, we had three sons, and we lost number 3 in 1996. He was 32, and that was very sad.
Mm-hmm.
But we still have grandchildren. He has 10 grandchildren.
Wow.
And Mike has 8 grandchildren, so we have 18 great-grandchildren.
Wow.
And Cole, which is Mike's grandson, has been working here, and Lily, his sister. And so that makes the 5th generation that's worked here. The 4th generation does own everything now,
Okay.
which is the grandkids, Damon and Ryan.
Oh, that's wonderful. Mark went to college at Mercyhurst, and he has got his real estate license too. Right, Mark?
And
I just escrowed my real estate license, and I'm just appraising now.
Okay. But you, one of the things that Mark did was he, and some other business owners really started CLABA, Canadohta Lake Area Business Association, in the early days. And I think it was Mark, Gene Bilecki, and Ginny Wetmore really were instrumental in that.
And you.
Well,
and Pam Roberts.
Yeah, you
We
and
had
I are
lots
the
of-
ones that went door to door to the businesses to see if they would participate. And everyone wanted to participate because our main goal was to get the fireworks started back at Canadohta Lake again because they were so popular. But then after we talked to all the business owners, we found out that they wanted a community brochure, they wanted to have events, and so it just sort of grew, because all the business people really were interested in, having some kind of marketing for our area.
Yeah, that's basically how we started.
Yeah.
And those early days were lots of fun, Mark. But I think one of the funnest things we ever did was Canadohta Lake Centennial.
Oh, that was fun, wasn't it? We had buses and a parade and
Yeah, but do you remember? I've never seen, except for Hurricane Agnes, I never saw it rain so hard, and the electric went out over the whole lake for the whole day, and there were tons of people here. Oh
Yeah.
my gosh!
it was so wet, but everybody was still out and enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was quite the thing. We had all these bands lined up, and it was raining so hard they couldn't even do their band thing. So, what a good time. Nancy, when you first got here, were there many cottages or were they tents?
No, there were cottages.
They were cottages.
Mhm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
Did you ever hear stories about what all this over here used to be? We heard stories, and I want to confirm this with you, if it's true, that in the prohibition times, that there was a speakeasy over there, one of those cottages. Did you ever hear that?
No, I really don't know about that.
Okay, that's interesting. I have to
Yeah.
do some more research on that, but I can definitely see that.
When we came
Happening.
here, those cottages over there had been rented for a 2-week period in the summer to the Girl Scouts. And they came from all around and filled all the Shady Rest up with Girl Scouts. And that went on for, I don't know, 2 or 3 years anyway, and had been prior to our coming here. That's the first thing I remember, but it was all just the cottages being rented.
Okay. Do you remember when the hotel was on the other side of the lake?
No.
Okay.
You can see where it was, and there's a railroad bed over there and all these things, but not anything that I really know that much about.
We were told that the two-story cottage over by Mark's house
Yeah.
and this two-story cottage here was part of the hotel. And they slid those two buildings over here and onto the land on the ice in the wintertime.
But that's just something that people have told us. It's nothing
We have
that
heard-
we know
Yeah.
if it really happened or not.
We have heard that too.
Yeah, when we were talking to George Eisentrout the other day, he said that.
Yeah, and there was one other one, same style, and it's down by where the water comes in, down by the park where the water comes into the road.
The swamp?
Yeah, where the swamp
Okay.
comes in. Is
Okay.
that what we call it?
So you're talking about this barn-like one there?
Yeah.
Huh.
There's that one.
And then the
And
one
the
beside
one
me
over by
there
Mark's
looks
house.
like a barn style.
They're-
one, too.
Yeah.
They're
And
made
then
just
the one
alike.
the one
Right
down
by my driveway.
by the
It's
swamp
on
too.
that channel.
Same style.
Brookside, they call it.
And that's what people have told us, but I
Oh,
don't
that
know.
was a heck of a little jaunt to get from there to there on the ice.
The only old story I remember is when they used to bring the blocks of ice on the railroad track or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had
Down
places
here.
where they cut it, and then down on the curve on Circuit Drive was where the ice house was, I
Yeah.
think.
There's
Yeah.
another one down there too, but I'm not sure which other one it is. It might be
I don't know about
Mike
what other-
Lake's old house. So.
Hello.
Hi. Okay. So the name of the campground when you first had it was the 3M.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
3M didn't like that.
Oh, they didn't like
The
that.
3M
No.
Corporation sent us a letter and said that we needed to get that 3M off of our business name, or
That's-
they were gonna, get after us, sue us or something.
Scotch tape and camping just don't
Yeah,
go
which
together.
didn't really cross our mind when we named it. We named it 3M for Mike,
Mhm.
Mark, and Matt,
Mm-hmm.
and so then we just removed it. I mean, we didn't want sued
Yeah, really.
by the 3M
We,
company.
we only ever got sued once, and thank goodness we won.
So it says your grandfather was Wade.
Yes, he built Linwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he was a carpenter in Greenville, and he had gotten hurt,
Mhm.
a broken back and stuff, and he stayed with Mom and Dad during the summer. So he and my grandmother,
Mm-hmm.
and so he decided he'd build that, and he built 2 houses in Meadville. Other than that, he worked in Greenville.
Mm-hmm. And Harold, your family, they lived on Hill Road. Okay. And then you met Nancy because you were out here playing basketball.
No, he met me at the Crawford County Fair.
Oh, that's even better. What were you doing there?
I'll show you the pictures. I do have pictures of that.
Yay.
That is great.
Yeah, we, every,
I was 13.
Harold.
when I was 17, I think,
Oh my.
I had a motorcycle,
Yeah.
and she was handing out church brochures at a little tent, her and 2 or 3 other girls.
Uh-huh.
And I talked her into riding on my motorcycle. And
I don't think my mother would have been pleased.
I've had her ever since.
Aw. That is a sweet
66
story.
years.
Wow. That is a great
Yeah,
story.
I scared her to death. She got on the motorcycle, and I rode down through the midway of the fairgrounds and out the exit down by the barns. And when I went out the exit, she grabbed me real tight and she says, "Where are we going? Where are you going? Where are you taking me?" And I said, "Just hang on just a minute." And I went out that exit, went around and went into the front exit,
Oh.
back up to her tent,
Uh-huh.
and I scared her to death.
Ah. Ah.
Yeah,
I was running away with her.
my best friend knew his friend and introduced us at the fair. Yeah.
Oh, how sweet.
We tried to make it to the fair every year, but we've kind of lost it the past.
A couple years.
Yeah.
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 COVID seemed to do that to the fair. Hey, I want to ask you too. You guys, Melody Lane Dance Hall.
Yeah, it was there.
Mm-hmm.
It was there when I came.
Okay.
And I don't remember when it was gone,
Yeah.
but I roller skated every night.
Okay.
There was no question about that. I had to do the dishes before I went, but
Okay. Oh my
I
gosh.
snuck out the back door a couple times.
To get out of there quicker.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. That's
And then
great.
we continued to roller skate when we were married with Dick and Diane.
Oh, yes.
They became kind of like our best friends.
Yes.
And we used to go up there and roller skate with them after their session was over with.
Uh-huh.
Her kids, their kids and our kids were good friends, and they
Yes.
roller skated.
Yeah, Amy was Mark's
yes,
best
the rest of the night.
best girlfriend, wasn't she?
Yeah.
To
And,
skate with and stuff,
Then we know what happened to Amy.
and to Diane.
Yeah.
But we'd have pizza afterwards, and we had
Yeah.
a lot of fun
Now,
as
who,
adults.
who owned the Melody Lane?
Sidlers.
Okay. Okay. All right. So you could have like pizza, and there was like jukebox, and then they had little dances.
Yeah, you
there?
could dance in there.
Okay. Did they have bands?
No, it was just little.
Okay. Okay. But that was quite the popular place, and
Oh,
the
yeah.
moms and dads would go over to hear Phil Runzo over at the Palomine.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
And then when Mom and Dad came here, every Monday night they had a bonfire to introduce all the cottage people to each other.
Oh, how nice.
And Phil would put his piano on the back of his truck and come over to the bonfire. And
Yeah.
so that was really fun at that time, you know.
Uh-huh.
Phil Renzo was a nightclub entertainer down at Old
Well,
City.
he was a
Yes.
teacher too at
Mhm.
Yeah,
the
he
Old
was a
City,
teacher.
the music
They
teacher.
used to bring it down there, and we used to have a big bonfire down there.
Mm-hmm.
And they used to there was like maybe 50, 60, 70 people down there. And they would all sing all the old songs.
Mhm.
Everybody was singing the old songs.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of fun to be down there.
I'll bet.
And back in those days, there was a lot of manufacturing plants, and they all closed the same week.
Yes.
And they would come and rent all the cottages, so there'd be large groups of people from
Yes.
like Sylvania and different
Mhm.
different places that came year after year.
Mm-hmm. One of the things I was wondering about too is that when you guys first came, Harold, you were the bus driver, and you must have some incredible stories about being the bus driver.
That's back when we had quite the winters here. too.
Yes, yes. Oh, that's a good one.
When we came out, here, I worked in Meadville.
Mm-hmm.
And then I gave up my foreman's job in a shop. And I decided to come out here and stay all the time. So I had to have something else to do,
Mm-hmm.
especially in the wintertime.
Sure.
So I drove school bus for 3 years. And it happened to be 3 of the worst winters we've ever had.
Was it in the 70s, the
Yeah.
77s?
78,
Okay.
77, 78, yep.
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 And one winter, the kids didn't go to school for I think like 8 or 10 days, and there was our Mike and Mark had a couple of friends come down from Union City that afternoon before the storm, and a couple of them were girls, and we got snowed in, so the mothers were a little upset. And I finally got on the phone with her and talked to the one mother, and I told her that Nancy and I were going to be here, and I assured her that there was nothing going to happen to them.
Well, he plowed the snow off of the lake and they ice skated.
Oh,
Yeah, I had a little tractor with a blade on it, and I made a path down and made a great big ice skating pond down there for them. And so then I had a fire for them down there.
yeah,
They ice skated down there
yeah.
all weekend.
And then tell about the time you carried the kids up Tree Ridge Hill.
Oh, out in the country, I can't think of the road now. During one of the blizzards, took the kids to school in the morning, and then they decided the kids need to go home because it was going to storm and blizzard. So they called us, and we all went back and picked up the kids to take them home. And I got out. I had the most outlining route, and I got the kids about all but a mile being home, and the roads were just level with snow. You couldn't get up, and so I picked out two senior boys, and we carried these three girls about a mile up the road.
Oh, wow.
On our backs.
Little
And
girls.
we bundled them all up, and we carried them up the road, and we walked up on the fields all the way up. And the two girls lived across the street from the other. And when I got up to the house, the mother opened the door and she just bursted out crying. She just hugged us all, and because her girls were home.
Yeah.
And so we got those three girls home, and two of the senior boys helped me carry the girls up to the house. The two girls lived in the one house, and the one girl lived across the street. And we carried them on our backs up that, put her a mile up the road.
Wow.
And so the mother never forgot that.
I'll bet. I'll tell you, those were horrific storms. I don't think people realized how we used to get.
Well, it was just a tunnel up on
Yeah.
Route 8. You know,
Oh, yeah.
They had
brought
gotten
those wall
bulldozers
choppers
and
down.
and pushed the snow up like this, and it was just a tunnel to drive.
Well, I used to keep it plowed out across the road because I had a tractor with a blade on it. And that's where I parked the school bus.
Mm-hmm.
And they plowed the road down through here, and the banks on each side of the road, the snow banks were so high you could barely see the school buses when they come down through. And I kept that plowed out over there and the parked the school bus over there. And Louis McCrillis from Lincolnville had the school buses. And he was a good guy to work for. He was a nice guy to work for.
Mm-hmm. He was a nice guy.
And I worked for, drove the school bus for 3 years. And the last year we got so busy here in the spring, getting opened up and open the cottages and getting water on and everything, that I had to quit driving.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't think it was very fair not to drive the whole year and quit in the spring.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't drive bus anymore.
Okay.
But that was a good experience. I got to know a lot of the families, and got to know people in the school, and all these kids.
Yeah. All these kids still remember you. That's crazy.
I remember one Christmas, I always bought the seniors a Christmas present.
Mm-hmm.
I got them a shiny silver dollar,
Oh.
all of them.
Mm-hmm.
And there would be like 2 or 3 or 4 seniors on the bus, and I always got them a silver dollar for Christmas.
Oh.
So was somebody that rode on the bus with you from Lincolnville came to see you since COVID. Do you remember who that was?
No, I remember
Was it one of the Crosses or somebody? I can't remember. Somebody came and said, I just wanted to see if you were still here because you drove my school bus.
that was only a couple of 3 years ago, wasn't
Yeah.
Huh.
it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So you really make an impact on people. Oh my goodness.
And then
Do we have any other questions that we have forgotten, Deb?
I just wanted to know about the fireworks. So before Clava did the fireworks, who did the fireworks?
Oh.
The park did them before Chuck and Leah bought it.
Yeah, but we
They
all
always
pitched in.
Did them right.
Yeah, because
So
Todd,
Hope and Harry did them?
yeah, Todd and Fred used to go
Fred
out
used
there.
to light them off of
Off the
rafts
top. I
out
thought
on the
that-
water.
Yeah, I thought they took them off the tower, too.
Yeah, they did both.
Yeah, okay.
But they collected money
Yeah.
if the business owners wanted to contribute.
Yeah,
but if
would
they
take
didn't, by then.
donations, and we would always give to them. But they stopped doing it for I think 5 or 6 years, and
But Chuck did them for a while. Yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
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 Chuck did do them, and he had, I know Todd was one of the kids, and there was some other kids.
Of course, they were always quite expensive.
Yeah.
And then if people didn't donate, then he would probably always end up paying for it. And I could see why they wouldn't want to keep doing that without a lot of support, you know.
Yeah, because that was kind of rough back there in the late
That was
70s.
That was like the major big draw for the cottage people. A lot of the people that would come up. So it was kind of a real bummer without the fireworks.
Yeah, because that's before anybody ever had all these magnificent ones to shoot off.
Yeah,
Of their own. Yeah.
I know. It's crazy.
So do you know what year they stopped and what year they started up again?
Well, we started up the first year we started Clava. That was the main reason we wanted to get it going. So that would have been the first year they were started up.
Was that like 86?
I don't know. I tried to look back at the brochures to see when we started Clava, but I can't find anything dated.
Yeah, I know.
But it was probably 5 or 6 years before that was the last time that we had fireworks.
We just dug up the old memory of the boat races.
Yes.
And Mike's kids, the last race that Mike was in, maybe the only race, I don't know, he flipped a boat. He was following somebody that was ahead of him, and he got into the wake, and he flipped the boat. He flipped right out of the boat, and we were down at the park, all of us, watching the race. And Alex Versa,
Yes.
and I went out, and the boat was still running.
Wow.
Nobody in it, and it was zipping around Mike. Mike was in the water, and it was zipping around Mike, and I got out there with my rowboat, and Alex was with me in his rowboat, and we got a hold of the boat, and I got a hold of Mike, and got him out of the water. But that was the last race that Mike was in.
Oh.
Well, his kids, for this birthday, got that old fiberglass MFG boat.
Yeah.
And I had bought a Mercury 10-horse motor for it.
The Hurricane.
The Hurricane.
Oh.
Off of the neighbors over here had one. And they got it fixed up and fixed the boat all up and painted it and everything and gave it to Mike for his birthday just a couple weeks ago.
Oh, that's
We should give you a picture of it because in fact, you've got a picture of it on your phone.
Oh, how wonderful.
And Mike was so happy.
I'll
It
bet.
gave him something to think about. For
Yeah.
Too.
Well,
Did you go out for a cruise yet?
He did yesterday.
Yesterday.
Oh, excellent.
he's pretty sick.
Yeah.
And so he was, Mark has spent a lot of time with him since he's been sick. And he doesn't come outdoors at all, hardly. But he came out, and Mark said he went for a ride in a boat the other day.
The grandkids took the boat out yesterday.
A great grandkid, and
Cole and Dylan.
Really?
our great grandkids.
That's okay. At least he wasn't going to fall out. Oh my gosh.
Those engines, it will only start in forward.
Yeah.
So the two grandkids are, sitting in the front of the boat, and he would get it going, and then it would shoot, and they'd be like whiplash. It was funny watching them.
Oh, those hurricanes are the best.
I used to. Well, Nancy's mother and dad had a boat and motor rental. And they had boats with all their cottages that they rented. And then they would rent the motors with them if the people wanted them. And so I used to maintain all the boats. I had a big tank out here that I set the motors on and run the motors in, and I used to maintain all of them. And we still lived in Meadville, and I'd come out here on the weekends and fix up the motors that were quit running and stuff during the week. And he had like 30 some motors altogether. Nancy's dad did.
And he wasn't a machinist.
Yeah.
Well, he rented them all right, but they didn't run too good for
Oh,
him.
they never, I can remember, we had the same thing. What do those people do to those motors? They were always breaking.
Yeah, they
So,
They were
This
just really
summer they
hard on.
just lost parts off of the brand new one that we got.
Oh.
Todd said, well, you have to have all the parts.
Oh
Mom,
my
where's
gosh.
that cottage rental list?
Oh, I have it here.
You can let Pam have that.
Yeah,
one.
I
made
will.
copies of it. From 1967.
Oh, cool.
It's our
Okay.
cottage list.
Here, we'll get Debbie to, she's our photo.
Paper person?
Yeah.
We normally had like 20 that we rented, and then there was like 30 or more of other people's that
Yeah.
we rented. So there was.
Oh, there's the old brochure too.
Yeah.
Oh,
one of
Mark,
our
I
first-
remember-
one of our
remember-
first brochures.
We'll show
Yeah.
that to
The pink and
Pam.
turquoise.
Oh, wait, I don't know what's underneath it. I think I
Aw.
want what's underneath it. I think what I'm looking for is underneath it. Yeah, show that to Pam.
This was
Yeah,
Aw.
give Debbie one if you have it.
Aw.
There, so she
This
can
was our
I
see.
can
first-
just take pictures of all
this
this
was our
stuff
first
and get it
date.
back to you.
Oh my gosh, look
Yeah,
at you.
yeah,
So,
copy.
Oh my
It's-
God, you really look like Mark.
Yes, that's what Mark said when he looked at this morning. He said, oh my gosh, that looks like me.
It does.
This is cool.
It's fun to look at all the names of them, I think.
Oh, look how
The different
you two are
cottage
so
names.
cute.
Well, see, the ones the day when I met him,
Yeah.
the first one. And the second one's our first date. We went to Canadohta Lake. Then the third one is only they're the wrong order.
Yeah. That's okay.
That's old. That's the oldest one. And then this was our first year that we were
yeah,
married.
this, back when I used to have hair.
And that, but two of them are from the fair and one's from Canadohta Lake. You know where they had those picture taking things?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, those are great. That is a great thing. We're gonna have to.
I've always kept track of those pictures.
Uh-huh.
Can I take pictures of those pictures?
Yeah. Or,
I'll
You
just
can have it.
I'll just
Yeah,
take
we
a
went to-
picture of it with my phone.
I went to her proms,
Mhm.
and she went to all my proms.
Mhm.
And
In
one-
Townville, in Meadville. Then.
Yeah. His were more fun though. There was only 50 people in his class.
Yeah.
You knew everybody.
Yes.
There was 195 in my class. Or
Mm.
495. in
Debbie
my
went
class.
to Townville.
Almost
Wait, who went
500
to
people.
Townville? You
He
went
did.
to Townville?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
graduated from Townville.
Yeah, so did I.
Did you?
Mhm.
Yeah.
What was your last name?
Corliss.
Yeah. Harlan Corliss.
Yeah, that was my dad.
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
be darned.
Yeah. Yeah, we lived right
Did
in.
he-
I always say we lived in downtown Townville.
Right beside the, yeah, right beside the school.
Yeah, in the red house.
Yep. Yep.
Yep.
Oh
I
my.
didn't realize that you were.
I
Oh,
know.
I don't know why.
Really?
I know he has extra ones of these, so you can.
I
have
remember
this.
Okay,
Deb's
thank you.
mom and dad very clearly. They always came in the store, but my dad was pals with Harlan. I guess, I don't know, they were, he would get stuff from Carpenter's Meats or something and
yeah.
Oh
bring it
yeah,
over to dad. I don't know.
Carpenters. That's
Oh,
my
yes.
mom sold coppers and carpenters meats. that
We
you-
did for
You
years.
still can't beat it.
There was on eBay. Remember those old tubs, the blue and white Bunny brand?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Carpenters?
Oh yeah.
There was one on eBay that was up for sale for like $70.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah.
We had stacks of them, and that's
Oh,
where we put
yeah.
our garbage in. And it was like,
I never thought of that.
Oh.
Now I've got all kinds of things from the milk thing in Corey, the milk people,
oh my
milk
gosh.
bottles. And,
Model.
Yeah, but I never thought of those meat things of having value like that.
Yeah.
When-
I still have a big old grease can
Yes.
or a barrel or
Yeah.
whatever from
From shortening from the
Here's
donuts.
Story, yeah.
So my dad used to give those. They made perfect storage
In fact-
containers.
In fact, it's sitting in the garage.
Excellent.
Right, you know.
He could just go in and copy that again if he. You don't.
That's okay.
have to
Well,
do that.
our goal is to
Oh.
kind of get everything digital. So when we're doing some stuff with the Historical Society that we finally got software so that we can kind of archive stuff.
Mhm.
So, but we want to get all these stories too. Like there might be a file that'll say Higby's, and then it'll have all your family's information and pictures and stuff. So,
These are.
More
There's a
pictures?
picture of the beach, and that's actually a couple of our grandchildren on Mark's old dock.
hey, Nickerson's Beach. Did you guys ever
This is
hear of
right
this?
here where
No.
What?
Nickerson's Beach.
the YouTube, I remember it.
Nicholson.
Nicholson. Okay. We can't seem to find this, but it looks like the old school, like in the 1800s, used to have picnics at this place. We don't know.
He came to Canadohta Lake probably more than I did when he was little and before there was a bridge or anything because their family reunion was here.
And do you have it down at the park?
Yeah. Before that, we had the Higby, Whitman, Lewis reunion. Those are all our families. Well, the Whitmans were from Titusville.
Okay.
The candy people,
They had the candy people. The Whitman candy.
Oh, okay.
That was my relative to my dad.
Oh, okay.
And the Whitman house is still in Titusville. Have you ever seen it?
No.
Well, when you go into Titusville and you get on Route 8 to go to Oil City, just as you go up the hill, you get on the old Route 8. And then about a little ways up the hill is a blacktop road that goes to the right. And it goes right past the Whitman house.
Okay.
And the Whitman candy boxes used to be two-tone green, bright and light green. Well, their house is painted the same way. That's the way they painted their house.
That's interesting.
And it's about up at the top of that hill going out of Titusville.
Huh.
It's a blacktop road that goes out and up, and that's where the Whitman's house was.
My dad talks about Canadohta Lake before I was born, and he used to come out and they used to dance down where the park is. And my dad was quite a dancer.
Yes,
he liked to waltz and
Yeah, her mother and dad, I think, went to all the dances in the whole country.
everywhere. Yeah.
If they, He liked to dance so well. Well, they both did.
That's where Mark gets it from.
Her and I used to go to the square dances when they used to have square dances all over.
Okay.
And we used to go to the square dances when we were first married.
Yeah, and we'd come to Pittsburgh and everywhere because, one of our best friends from here lived in Pittsburgh, and we would go down and they would square dance.
Okay.
And we would,
Yeah.
Huh. They, people that rented cottages here that we made friends with and have been friends with our whole lives now. So
We got to know a lot of people all over the country, from Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, especially Pittsburgh. And they used to come here and rent a cottage for a week. And so we became friends with a lot of them. And we had, we kept in touch with a lot of them. Matter of fact, the one friend, she just called you not too long ago.
right. But she is 90.
Yeah, we used to go down there. Well, they had 3 girls, and we had 3 boys, and so we used to hang out together. And we used to go down there, and they come up here and stay in a cottage for a week, and then we used to go down there and spend a weekend at their house.
But he and Herb had a lot of fun because that's when they had square dances across the lake over by Eisentraut's.
Yeah.
You don't remember that? Where it's an apartment house now.
They had them at the okay.
It was
The bar.
The bar.
Yeah.
And it was called,
what?
was it called Bert's for a while?
Yeah, but that wasn't the original name.
Lakeview Inn.
Lakeview Inn. And
Okay.
he and Herb used to
Square dance.
square dance there
Okay.
because Dorothy and I were always pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they came up here. Howells were their last name, and they come up here, and Dorothy was pregnant, and Herb talked me into going fishing. So Herb and I went out fishing, and we wound up down at the
Herb had a white shirt on underneath his fishing jacket.
Yeah, and Herb and I wound up down at the bar down there, and I kept telling her, we're going to get in trouble. We're going to get in trouble. Well,
Yeah.
Herb had a few too many beers, and so we had to walk home.
Oh.
We couldn't come back to boat.
Yeah.
I was too afraid of the boat, so we had to walk all the way home.
Oh
And
my
so-
gosh.
The girls
He
found out
just
where we
passed
were.
away, and she's 90 now.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
nice. That's nice. There are so many good stories about friendships from this place.
We
Incredible.
had such good friends with them.
Yeah, they